So we are starting a new sermon series today. We spent Lent and Easter in a series called The Bread of Life, a series based on some work done by our friends at Illustrated Ministry. And so I thought we'd use the time from Easter to Pentecost to do the cup of blessing, these two different parts. So we have talked about bread and how Jesus is the bread of life. And now we're going to talk about wine and how Jesus is the cup of blessing. And we start with this scene that is strange. This moment in John where Jesus and his mom and his disciples are all at this wedding. And the text makes it sound very much like Jesus' mom was the main person who was invited to this wedding. And Jesus and his disciples, because they're always around him, were also invited to this wedding. And they're at the reception, and people are starting to talk about how they have run out of wine. The party has been going on for a while, and it's just gone. The bar is dry. And what are they going to do? And Jesus' mom hints to Jesus that maybe he should do something about this. They have run out of wine. And Jesus responds, "What does that have to do with me? How is that my problem? My hour has not yet come. It isn't time yet. I mean, I could do something, but let's hold on. Let's wait. I've got something bigger planned for later." It is this weird moment, this chance to perform a miracle, this chance to show a sign, this chance to keep the party going, and Jesus says, it's not the right time. This is our Sunday of extravagant welcome. This is our Sunday when we reaffirm this open and affirming covenant. It's a big covenant. We'll recite it together again later, but just for now, we, the members of First Congregational United Church of Christ, declare ourselves to be an inclusive and nurturing community of faith. With God's grace, we seek to be a congregation that embraces differences of race, ethnicity, culture, faith, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital and family status, age, and ability. We celebrate and welcome all to share equally in the life of our church family. That is a long list. That is a long list of people who we embrace. Race, ethnicity, culture, faith, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital and family status, age, and ability. At the center of every open and affirming covenant, the thing that makes it an open and affirming covenant is the sexual orientation and gender identity and marital and family status. That is at the middle. The other stuff is also important, and I know that the United Church of Christ recommends that any church that adopts an open and affirming covenant includes all of the stuff. But I have been thinking about that. On the one hand, I think it's a nice way to help churches that are unsure about the sexual orientation and gender identity and marital and family status stuff sneak that through. It's like when you have to give your dog a pill and you put it in some cheese. and you give it to the dog, or like when you have to give your kids some medicine and you grind it up and sneak it into some applesauce or something. If we're welcoming everyone, if we're embracing everyone, if we have all of these things, then we're not standing up just for one group, we're standing up for everyone, and everyone includes the group that is at the middle. But there is with that a sneaky little trick. There is with that the sneaky little trick that, well, the dog got the pill, but they also ate some cheese, and the kid got the medicine, but they also ate their applesauce, and we welcome and embrace differences of sexual orientation and gender identity and marital and family status, but also race and ethnicity and culture and faith and all of those other things. By wrapping that up into everyone, we suddenly find ourselves having to embrace everyone. And that is not a small thing. And it is easy. It has been easy. We know it has been easy to look at what is happening in the world, to read the papers or look on the internet or watch the news, and to look at us and our community and say, it's not time yet. It's not the right moment to do the thing. Let's wait a while, and then we as a congregation will put out the pride flag. Then we as a congregation will talk about gender identity. Then we as a congregation will write letters to the editor. Then we as a congregation will make public pronouncements about race and ethnicity and culture and faith and sexual orientation and gender identity and marital family status and age and ability. When it is the right time, our hour has not yet come. And I gotta tell you, I think that the hour probably came a while ago, but the hour is definitely here now. There is too much happening. There is too much going on for us, for anyone, to remain silent. I don't want to get into specifics. I don't want to give particular examples, but I have to give a few because you may not have heard. You may not have heard that our trans siblings can no longer get their preferred gender marker on their passports, that it has to match their birth certificate, and that causes issue if you're trying to leave or come back into the country. You may not have heard that there is a bill that is working its way through Congress to make sure that your name on your driver's license matches your name on your birth certificate when you try to register to vote, which means that if you have ever changed your name, yes, because you're trans, yes, because you got married, you might need to figure out how to register to vote, or you might be kept from voting. You may not have heard that people are being deported without hearings, without ever going in front of a judge, just being put on planes and sent away. And that has included, this past week, at least 3 American citizens who are minors whose parents are not documented. If we are going to be a church that welcomes everybody, if we are going to be a church that stands for everybody, if we are going to be a church that loves everybody, in all of the cruddiness of the world, then we have to be a church that loves everybody. Whenever the hour is, it is now. Whenever the time is right now. And even if we, like Jesus, are not so sure about acting right now, when Jesus says that his hour has not yet come, his mom ignores him. She doesn't give that any attention, but instead says to the servants who are around, says to the waiters, says to the bartenders, just do what he tells you. And so Jesus looks over at these jars of water, 6 of them each holding 20 or 30 gallons. I'll leave the math as an exercise to the listener, but that's a lot of water. And he turns it into wine. And the party can keep going, I'm guessing at this point, for days, because that is gallon after gallon after gallon after gallon of wine that is suddenly available to everyone. Jesus, who didn't want to do it, is just kind of harangued by his mom into performing his first sign so that the party can go on. So that, in fact, more people can come into the party, because we're not rationing the wine anymore. There is enough and more than enough to go around. The church, the big, huge, worldwide church, has not always been good at keeping the party going or inviting more people in. We have thought that there is only so much wine to go around, that there is only so much grace to go around, that there is only so much love to go around. And here is Jesus, even though he didn't want to do it, saying, no, there's plenty. I just made it. And my guess is that Jesus would keep making it as long as he has to keep the party going. But it gets better. Because when the steward tastes that wine, he is amazed. He is shocked. Because most weddings, most parties, most people would serve the good wine at the start and wait for people to get drunk and stop caring about the flavor, and then serve the bad wine, the cheap beer, those drinks that are just like vodka and seltzer. They'd start serving the garbage. But not Jesus. The good wine has been served, and now it is time for the great wine, because that is what happens when you open up the party, when you keep the party going, when more people get to come in. That is what happens when folks are welcome. Regardless of race, ethnicity, culture, faith, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital and family status, age, or ability, or anything else. There is power in diversity. There is fun in diversity. There is glory in diversity. The body of Christ becomes more as more people are welcomed in, as they bring more gifts that God has spread out across the world. And I can say that about the church, but that is also true about wider communities. That is also true about countries. That is also just true about the world. We are better off. Each of us and all of us are better off when there is more diversity around us, when we get more experiences, when we get to try new and different wines, when we get to taste new and different breads, when we get to sing new and different songs, when we get to hear new and different languages, when we get to meet new and different people, when we get to love and be loved by new and different folks. There is power in diversity. There is strength in keeping the party going. There is new wine and abundant blessing in welcoming everyone and encouraging those around us to welcome everyone. So on this Sunday of extravagant welcome, I am asking us not only to affirm our open and affirming covenant for ourselves, but to let the good news of Christ's abundant love and overflowing grace, to let that good news call us to call others to join the party, to taste the good wine, to bring more people in, to be for everyone. Because maybe if we can keep that party going, maybe if we can spread that party around, maybe if everyone gets a taste of that wine, maybe we will find ourselves at last in God's reign of love that fills all of creation.